G'day guys, it's Jonah, obviously. My presentation is going to be on the ketogenic diet. I'm going to be talking a little bit about the kind of medical origins of it in the 1920s, and then moving on from there to talk about how it's developed into a modern day diet and how it's kind of evolved to fit into modern day diet culture and whether or not that's a good thing or not. The earliest research that I could find was by Dr. Russell Wilder in 1921. His research was based on mitigating the effects of symptoms of epilepsy in patients. So he found that when you lowered the amount of carbohydrates in the average epileptic victim's diet, it would mitigate the effects of epileptic seizures and even in some cases completely remove them. So obviously to describe this kind of scientific theory it would take longer than a 5-minute video to do so, but the main idea behind it is that you can create fast energy and slow energy by what you eat. It was also found from there that fast energy was responsible for causing epileptic seizures, and without the presence of fast energy they could not occur. So based upon this theory it was discovered that carbohydrates would provide fast energy and slow energy to the body, whereas fats as a dietary fuel source would only provide slow energy to the body. Because of this, eliminating carbohydrates would eliminate epileptic seizures in general. While it is important to mitigate these effects in epileptic victims, it's far more important to make sure that they're able to survive on this diet, and it was actually found that they could. Fat provides 9 calories of energy per gram of fat, whereas carbs only provides 4 calories per gram of carbs. So it's found to be actually a more effective fuel source, but not without its drawbacks. So there are some unpleasant side effects when swapping over from carbohydrates to fat as the primary fuel source. So these include digestive problems, drowsiness, headaches, inability to exercise, as well as a few other ones, mainly to do with the nervous system. Despite all these drawbacks, research continued on the ketogenic diet. Probably the most important discovery that was made about the ketogenic diet was that participants who used the diet often lost a lot of weight. This is mainly because when you use fat as a primary fuel source, you start to burn your own body's fat, so you became a bit slimmer, you know? Since then, the popularity of the diet has grown exponentially. Doing an analysis of the Google search results for it, it's been the most popular diet for the last 4 years, and it's 4 times more popular than the second most. Obviously, because of this enormous reach, it's been advertised to pretty much everyone, from athletes to general population and even to elderly, as a new quick fix. The primary problem that I see with the ketogenic diet today is the people who are advertising it. If you were to Google the ketogenic diet like I did, you would know that the first 10 pages on Google are all owned by businesses, organizations, or social media influencers. These people are not scientists, and they are not doing this in the public interest of health. They are doing it to enhance their own business. This makes sense from a business standpoint, as there's clearly such a huge market for it. In order for the ketogenic diet to actually be effective, the macronutrient ratio that you need is 75% fat, 20% protein, and 5% carbs. Probably the worst example of a study that I came across was done by a computer scientist who told me that the honest-to-God best ratio was 40% fat, 40% carb, and 20% protein. Now, not only is this pretty shitty advice, which it absolutely is, but it's also quite dangerous to anyone who might see this and think that this is the correct way to do the diet. Why this is so dangerous is because if you're taking in 40% fat and 40% carbs, you're still using carbs as your main fuel source. In this case, that means that you're still storing all the fat on you. Because of this, you're going to be at a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and all those other fat-related illnesses. So if there was one key learning point that I'd like people to take away from this video, it's to be mindful of the dangers that can come from just accepting information at face value. Especially for us being uniquely equipped to do this kind of research, it's very important that we promote the right kind of information to people.